So we aligned that stroke to the inside of the path. Now what we're going to do is change the color of the stroke. So there's a number of ways that you can do that. You can do that up here in the options panel. So you can click and pick a swatch, or you can come down here into the tools panel and double click on it and then pick a color from there as well. I'm just going to go up here and pick a gray color. Oh, that's the same color, gray. There, that works. The next thing that we're going to do is create a flower pot in the front yard. This is a little bit harder to do. This is a great way to learn how to create three-dimensional objects while you're drawing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create an oval. So I'm going to take my ellipse tool and I'm going to create an oval, not too big, maybe about the same width as the door. You can always resize it later. And then I'm going to make the base of the flower pot. So I'm going to take my direct selection tool. I'm going to hold Option. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. Oh, I have to copy it. I apologize. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. There we go. And I'm going to put that directly below it. Make sure they're in alignment with each other. And I'm going to take that fill off of there. So to take the fill off, because you can kind of see it's got this weird fill on there, I can click on the fill and then click on this none box. Or I can go up here to the fill and I can click on the none box. It also has a really thick stroke on there. I can bring that back down to like 1 point. It just saved what we had done for the last object, which was the roof up there. So I have the base here. Now I need to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to select it with my selection tool, the black arrow, and I'm going to make it smaller. But when I do that, I'm going to hold Option so that when I drag it, it drags it from the center. I'm going to make it about, I don't know, about half the width, maybe about like that. And you can actually already start to see that. And I feel like that's not aligned with that, so I can come up here and make sure that those are aligned. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the line segment tool, which should be in the shapes as well. I'm going to zoom in on this because I want you to take a look at this. So I'm going to draw, I want to make sure that I see the word anchor. So I'm going to draw a line from here until I see the word anchor up here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Make sure you see the word anchor and then draw that line until you see anchor again. Now this shape isn't done. It's not filled in. So I'm going to take my direct selection tool, and you can kind of see here where those shapes aren't really connected. I still just have a couple of lines. I want to connect these because I want to put a fill on it. So I'm going to take my direct selection tool. I'm going to click and drag just over these anchor points. So both anchor points are selected. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit join. And did you see how they joined together? I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing. So the direct selection tool, because I want to get those two anchor points. And if I click and drag over them, I'll grab those two anchor points. Right click and join. And then I'm going to come up here. Let me get rid of this so you guys can see this. So not just a smidge. So I want to click on this anchor point. I'm going to hold Shift and click on this anchor point, and I'm going to join them. So now I have a solid shape. So now I have an oval and I have this shape here. So now I can fill this I'm going to fill the base of it with a brown color. And then I'm going to do a black stroke on this. And then the top of the bucket, I'm going to put a black fill on. It says it has a black fill, but it does not. What's going on? I'm also going to arrange and bring it to the front. Oh, I see. It has a really, really thick stroke on there. So I'm going to bring that stroke back down to 1 point, and I'm actually going to make the stroke black as well. So we were so zoomed in on it, it looked like it was, it looked like it was full. And I'm going to group these together so it becomes one object. But if you take a look at this, you can see the two shapes that we have together on there. So I'm going to group that and put it up near the door, and then you can resize it. Make sure you hold shift to keep it in proportion. But I'm just going to put that in front of the door. The next thing that we're going to do is make some clouds. There's going to be some clouds up here in the sky. So one really easy way to make clouds, we're just going to use the oval tool or the ellipse tool. We're going to make an oval, we're going to make another oval, and make another oval, just so it kind of looks like that. And then we're going to select all three of those ovals. So I can either select here, hold shift and select, or I can click and drag to select all of them. And then I'm going to go to my Pathfinder, and we are going to unite those. We want those all one shape, and we're going to make them gray. I'm going to take the stroke off of that as well. So if I don't want a stroke on there, I click on stroke and I click on none, and now I don't have a stroke on there. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change this roof to a flat roof. So what we're going to do is take a rectangle, and we want to make sure it's at least as tall as the roof. And then we're going to come over here to where this rectangle, or this triangle, and the front triangle meet. And we just kind of want to make that box about that same height. And so that is going to cover the other triangle. So you can kind of see it's still back there. So we're going to use this upper triangle to cut away from this triangle to make a flat roof. So we want to make sure this triangle is in the front. As long as it looks like it's on top of the other triangle, it's in front. I'm going to hold shift and select the triangle. And then I'm going to go over to the Pathfinder. If you don't have the Pathfinder up, go to Window, Pathfinder. And we're going to do minus front. And what that's going to do is it's going to cut part of that roof away. And then we're going to bring this triangle to the front. So arrange, bring to front, and it should look something like that. The next thing that we are going to do is draw a circular background. So I'm going to take my ellipse tool. I'm going to hold shift because I want this to be a perfect circle. And if I don't get the circle right in the middle, I can also hold the space bar so I can move it. I just want it in the center of the page. And I want it big enough that the house will fit in there. Don't worry about the color of it right now. And what we're going to do, actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to put this off to the side for a minute. I forgot I wanted to do something before that. Okay, so I'm going to take my rectangle tool. I have to draw the sky. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle And the sky is going to be, oh, till, I don't know, right about here maybe. Maybe the top of the window. And that's going to be a blue fill, just a nice sky blue color, and no stroke. And then down below, we're going to overlap these. It's okay if they're not exactly the same size, but we're going to fill this space with green grass. So just pick a nice grass that's green. And then while that's still selected, we're going to take the eraser tool. So the eraser tool works a little bit different than it does in Photoshop. I can make my brush bigger and smaller by using my bracket keys over here. And in Illustrator, the object that you want to erase has to be selected. So we're not using the eraser tool to like erase shapes, because all I would need to do to erase this shape is click on it and hit the delete button. But what we're doing is we're using the eraser to modify the shape. So while the grass is selected, I'm going to kind of make this wavy pattern up here at the top with the eraser tool. And that erases part of that shape to modify that shape. Alright, so once I have my sky and my grass, make sure again that the grass is overlapping the sky. I'm going to bring that circle back over, and I want to put it right in the middle. If your green and your blue aren't big enough, just make those a little bit larger. And I want to make that circle come to the front. So I want to make sure that circle's in the front. It does not matter what color it is, what stroke it is. But then I'm going to make sure the circle is selected. I'm going to hold Shift and select my sky. And I'm going to hold Shift and select the grass as well. I'm going to right click and we're going to do Make Clipping Mask. I could also go up to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. What's going to happen is it's going to use that circle as a mask, and it's going to put those colors into that shape. I want to move this to the back, so I'm going to go to Arrange, Send to Back, and it should look something like this. If you need to move things around a little bit, that's fine. Oh, I forgot. We also have to put the sidewalk in there. So what I can do is I can right click on that circle and I can do Release Clipping Mask. And then it will release that, and I'll show you how to fix that again here in a second. So we need to make a sidewalk. I forgot to do that before doing the clipping mask. So I'm going to take the polygon tool. And as I draw out, I'm going to make sure it's a triangle. So again, if there's too many or not enough points, you can use the up arrow key or the down arrow key as you're drawing it. So we want to pull out a triangle. I may need to use my space bar to move this, and I want to make sure that the top of the triangle lines up with the bottom of the door, and then the bottom of the triangle goes to at least the end of the green. We're going to make that gray. And then remember that circle was in here, but we're going to make that triangle part of the clipping mask. So I need to find that triangle again. So if I hover my mouse or my cursor, I will find it, or I can go up to View, Outline. And then I can grab that circle and I can go to View, Preview, and now my circle is selected. Again, I need to make that circle come to the front, and it doesn't have a fill or a stroke on it right now, so that's why it doesn't look like it did anything. But then I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to select my sidewalk, my green grass, and my blue sky. I'm going to go right click, Make Clipping Mask, and then I'm going to send this whole object to the back. Now I have a little sidewalk. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put some bricks in the chimney. Now I feel like my chimney is a little too short, so I'm going to make this a little bit taller. And I'm just going to bring that up to the top. There we go, that feels a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my folder, because there's some other files in here. So if I go to creating and editing shapes, you'll notice that there are some brick pieces in here, and then there's also a sign. So we're going to grab this. So we're going to open that file, which is going to open up a separate tab. So there's my artwork that I had created, and here is the artwork that I'm going to copy. So I'm going to grab those bricks. I'm going to go to Command C, or I could go to Edit, Copy. I'm going to go back to my previous tab, and I'm going to do Command V, or Edit, Paste. And oh, I hit paste again, so it came up there. So I'm going to bring that up here, and I can make it a little bit smaller. It doesn't need to be gigantic. So it's just a little bit bigger than my chimney. And I'm going to actually bring the chimney to the front. So I'm going to do Arrange, Bring to Front. I'm just going to move those bricks so that they at least cover that rectangle. And then I'm going to click on my chimney, hold Shift, and click on my bricks. I'm going to right-click, Make Clipping Mask. So it's very similar to the mask in Photoshop. It's just done a little bit differently. And then I'm going to bring my triangle of my roof back to the front. The next thing, and I believe the last thing that we're going to do, is make the for sale sign in the front. So I'm going to go back to the other tab. I'm going to grab that sign. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to paste this. And I'm going to make it a little smaller. Hold Shift when you're resizing in Illustrator. And it's just going to go, somewhere right in here is fine. Somewhere in the yard. And then I'm going to go back to my folder and go back into lesson 3 because there's one other image. You're going to see the logo.png file. So I can drag that in here onto the other artboard. Or I could go to File, Place, and I could go to my desktop, and I could go to my Adobe Illustrator folder, Lesson 3, and it's right there. So there's a couple ways that you can bring that in there. Now you notice that it was a PNG file. PNG is raster, and if you look really close, if I zoom in, you can see it's very pixelated. So what I'm going to do, don't always rely on this technique, but there are some things that you can do with raster images to make them vector, especially if they're very simple like this and have very simple colors to them. So I can tell that this is a raster image, one, because it has an X through it, and then if I look up at if it's selected, it has an X through it. And if I look up at my control panel, I can see that it's a linked file and that it's a PNG. I can see what the pixels per inch are, that sort of thing. So I have some options here. I'm going to click on Image Trace, and what it's going to do is it's going to trace the image. Now, by default, it's going to trace it in black and white, so you can see it lost the color here. So this little panel right here, I'm going to click on that, and we're going to change some of the stuff in here. So instead of the mode being black and white, we're going to choose color. Now if I choose grayscale, any of the color is going to turn to a shade of gray. But if I choose color, then I'll get that color back in there. Again, this only works really well for stuff with limited color. Now you can see some of the edges are kind of round. Some of the text looks a little funky, so we're going to make some changes to that as well. And we're going to change our colors to 3, because really we only had 3 colors in there. We had the black, the white, and then the blue. We're going to click on this advanced panel, or this little drop down menu. And I believe we're going to change our paths to 88%. So you'll kind of see what happens when I kind of click off there. It kind of straightened out some of my edges. The corners are going to be 90%. And I'm just hitting enter after that. And so now we're starting to get some nice straight corners. And the noise we're going to bring to 20 pixels. And then we want to make sure that the overlapping button is selected. For some reason, we're not getting our color in here. We might have to play with our colors a little bit. And then we want to make sure that snap curves to lines is checked. Let's see what happens if we bring this up to 4 colors. There we go. 4 colors it brought back that chimney. So this is kind of what we want to do with this. And then to make it vector, we click on expand. And now this is a vector object, and I can make it as big or as small as I want. You can see there's still a couple little areas that are messed up, like this isn't straight across, but it will, and like the T and the Y are touching, but we can kind of work with that. That's fine for what we're doing. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select this. We're going to hold shift and scale it down so that it will fit on this sign. So just something along those lines. And your house should now be done. Oh, let me bring this little guy to the front. So you should have a little house that you've built. Oh, and the clouds are supposed to be white. Sorry, I thought they were gray. It's fine if they stay gray, but make them white with a real thin stroke on them. Just like that. And then you're going to save it. You'll have to do a save. No, you can do a save. Oh, we already saved it. I forgot we already named it, so we just have to hit save. And it might ask you if you want to replace it. Just go ahead and replace it. And this always comes up, so just hit OK.